You will die here today. I swear you will not leave this compound alive. Madame Gold's scream tore through the compound like thunder. She stood at the center of the yard, her wrapper slipping from her waist, eyes blazing with rage. In her hand was a heavy wooden rod, swinging wildly as if she had lost all sense. No one could have guessed what would follow next. 3 months earlier, the compound at number 14, Bomba Street in Freetown was a place ruled by fear. Madame Gold owned a massive 12-room building, renting out rooms to struggling families who had nowhere else to go. But kindness was not part of her nature. She was cruel, deeply cruel. Without warning, she raised rent whenever she pleased. Complaints were met with violence. Anyone who tried to leave would find their door locked, their belongings trapped inside. "Where is my money?" she shouted every morning at exactly 6, smashing doors with her stick. "You think this is your father's house? Pay or get out." In room 3 lived Sister Comfort, a fish seller and widow raising 3 children alone since her husband died 2 years earlier. Life was already hard. 1 month, she managed to pay only half her rent. With tears in her eyes, she knelt before Madame Gold. "My son is sick. I used the money for the hospital. I beg you, give me 1 week. I swear on my children's lives." Madame Gold spat on the ground. "You think I run a charity? Do I look like I care about your sick child?" She grabbed Sister Comfort by the hair and dragged her across the compound, beating her mercilessly while her children screamed. Neighbors watched in silence, frozen by fear. "If you don't pay everything by tomorrow," she warned, "you and your children will sleep in the gutter." That night, Sister Comfort borrowed money from 5 people just to survive. She paid, but the humiliation stayed. In room 7 lived Mr. Johnson, an elderly taxi driver who had stayed there for 8 years. He was dependable, helpful, and never late, until his car broke down. Repairing it drained his savings, leaving him short by a small amount. "I beg you," he said humbly. "Give me 1 week. I have never failed you." Madame Gold laughed. "So what if you stayed 8 years? Old fool." That same day, she called the police. Mr. Johnson was arrested like a criminal. Though tenants raised money to free him, the shame broke him. He left and never returned. This was how Madame Gold ruled, through terror, corruption, and police officers she paid to bully the poor. The tenants hated her, but escape was impossible. Rent everywhere else was too expensive. "One day God will punish her," Sister Comfort would whisper. But time passed, and Madame Gold only grew worse. Then one blazing Tuesday morning, everything shifted. A young woman arrived to inspect room 10, the smallest room at the back. She carried a single bag. Though she looked about 20, her eyes carried the weight of many years. "My name is Amina," she said calmly. "I need a room. I can pay 6 months up front." Madame Gold's eyes lit up. She had never heard such words before. "Welcome, my daughter," she smiled sweetly. "This room is perfect." It wasn't. The roof leaked. The window was broken. Rats nested in the corners. But Amina nodded and paid in full. For the first 2 weeks, Amina was quiet. She left early, returned late, spoke politely, and kept to herself. "That girl is strange," the tenants whispered. Then one Saturday, Madame Gold, angry after her lover abandoned her, went looking for someone to punish. She stormed into Amina's room. "You are burning candles here. You want to burn my house?" It was a lie. "I don't use candles," Amina replied softly. Madame Gold slapped her. Silence fell. Something dark flashed in Amina's eyes. "You shouldn't have done that," she said calmly. Madame Gold laughed. "What will you do? I own this place. I own you." She raised her hand again, but Amina caught it mid-air. No matter how Madame Gold struggled, she couldn't break free. "Let me go," she screamed. "I'll call the police." "Call them," Amina replied. Inspector Bangora arrived with armed officers, men who had enforced Madame Gold's cruelty for years. They tried to arrest Amina. She warned them once. They ignored her. Then everything happened too fast to explain. The officers flew backward like dolls. Inspector Bangora was lifted off the ground with one hand and thrown into a filthy gutter. The compound erupted in terror. "Who are you?" Madame Gold whispered. "I'm just someone who wanted peace," Amina replied. "But you wouldn't allow it." She spoke of true power, not shouting, not cruelty, not fear, but kindness and restraint. Madame Gold broke down. She confessed her pain, a husband who left her 10 years earlier, stealing everything, leaving her bitter and broken. "That pain is not an excuse," Amina said gently. That day, Madame Gold changed. She apologized. She reduced rent. She repaired rooms. She stopped calling police. She helped tenants instead of tormenting them. And the compound transformed. 2 years later, Amina left quietly. "There are other places that need help," she said. Years passed, but the story remained. A story of cruelty confronted. A story of power humbled. A story proving that change, even for the wicked, is always possible. And that is why, in Freetown, people still speak of the wicked landlady who met her match.